Nikhil, a very good afternoon to you. What we are given to understand is that it is the INB Ministry of Bangladesh that's now come out to say that IPL shall not be telecast in Bangladesh for an infinite period of time, given that Mustafizur Rahman has been dropped from the KKR.
Well, that's right. I mean, the government has issued the advisory saying that there will be no telecast of IPL matches in Bangladesh for an infinite number of years. They've not given a deadline. They've not said till when. They've said as of now suspended, and they don't see any sort of IPL matches being shown in Bangladesh in the near future. What they've said is that they've taken cognizance of the fact that their star in Mustafizur Rahman has been removed from the IPL, and the operating line that they've used there is the BCCI has given no valid reason as to why he is not part of the IPL anymore. And that's what they've written down. Of course, this comes in the wake of their decision earlier that they have written to the International Cricket Council. The Bangladesh Cricket Board has written to the International Cricket Council also asking for their games during the T20 World Cup, which is about to start in a month and a half's time, due to take place in India. They've asked that they will not be playing their matches in India, and of course their matches be accommodated in Sri Lanka. So clearly, things are escalating here. Just to put it into perspective, how does this affect the IPL? Well, not much. Let's say the Bangladesh matches or the telecast right in Bangladesh doesn't really contribute too much to the IPL economy. Majority of the money that comes into the IPL is by the selling of television rights here in India. Overseas rights are merely 10%, all combined when you look at the total amount of money that comes from overseas rights. So if there is no telecast of IPL matches in Bangladesh, there is not much of a loss that is going to be incurred by the IPL. Having said that, I think the bigger dent could be if the Bangladesh Cricket Board sticks to their stand of not coming to India and playing in the T20 World Cup. And that can be a much more difficult situation for the Indian Cricket Board to handle. One, of course, because of logistically, you are just a month and a half away from that tournament. How do you suddenly change the schedule? That's going to be one area of concern. And secondly, that might then in the future become an issue when it comes to bilateral series with Bangladesh or more countries then not coming to India. We already have a situation where Pakistan have decided not to tour India. So can you continue with this sort of scenario when you intend to be hosting a lot of global events? And I'm not just restricting myself to cricket. There is going to be a Commonwealth Games. There's going to be an Olympic game. So those are much bigger worries as Bangladesh not coming to India. But to give our viewers a bit of a backgrounder, all of this has happened predominantly. I was speaking to a few people in Bangladesh, not that it's the Bangladesh Cricket Board that has come up with this decision. I believe the interim government that's in place, they were under tremendous pressure when Kolkata Knight Riders decided to part ways with Mustafizur Rahman, and there was a lot of backlash amongst fans there, and basis that the government then sent a diktat to the Bangladesh Cricket Board saying that, listen, you have to do it. So it was predominantly a reaction to the action that the Indian government had taken via the BCCI with Kolkata Knight Riders. So I think that is now being driven by the interim government that's in place in Bangladesh. And that's why you're seeing things really escalate at this matter.
Nikhil, you actually bring in a very important point here when you say that cricket, yes, definitely, this is the upcoming event we see in the next few months that we will be looking at. This is something we've seen in the Asia Cup tournament last year as well. Again, this year during IPL, the conversation has already begun around whether Bangladesh cricket players will be playing in India or not. So the debate has already begun there. And as we move closer to the tournament, we only will be seeing this escalating. But you've brought in a very important point saying that there are much more different kinds of sporting leagues, if we see, that's also upcoming in the coming times. And Pakistan and Bangladesh, this debate with both our neighbors at this given point of time, entering into the world of sports only complicates the situation for everybody. Now, there's one sect of people who always and already maintain that sports should not be involved with geopolitics. Those are two, they should be kept independent of each other, while the others say that no, it will be a betrayal to the country if our players go ahead and play in a country where Hindus are being constantly tortured and they're facing atrocities of this kind.
Well, I mean, it's very difficult, Shreya, at the moment to keep the two entities, sports and politics, far from each other. It's practically not possible, and I don't think India is the first country that has taken steps, based on geopolitical situations. I'll give you a recent example. The Ukraine-Russia war was on. A lot of Russian players. Were not participating or were not allowed to participate in various tournaments. I remember, let's say, the tennis Grand Slams. A lot of prominent Russian players are part of the ATP circuit, top-ranked players, and they could not participate in Grand Slams like Wimbledon and Australian Open, US Open, so on and so forth. So you've had situations where, based on the current geopolitical situation, certain sporting decisions have been taken. Now, if you try and take a look at India's stance, you can understand why this has happened. There has been a series of cases where there have been attacks on minority in Bangladesh. And if the public sentiment in India is against watching a Bangladesh player play on Indian soil, and especially when I'm not looking at it as an international competition, remember IPL, even though it's become global now, still remains a domestic competition. It's the Indian Premier League. It's still a domestic tournament. And then to allow players from Bangladesh to be playing in that particular league, I think that is also a valid concern. That doesn't add up, and you can't really ignore public sentiment there as well. So you had to take a decision like that. But as I said, you could face issues going forward if you're going to have global events like the Commonwealth Games, like the Olympic Games, because while cricket is a much smaller universe, and ICC in the past, they've also tried to accommodate requests of big participating test playing nations. However, when you look at other sporting events like the Olympics, then you have the International Olympic Council, which then does not have any exceptions being made for countries, and their rules are written down in stone, and they don't make any sort of exception. So those are things that you might find trouble going forward. But as if I was to just restrain myself and just talk about the cricketing universe, I think these are things that can be dealt with. I'm sure they will find a solution. India may have to let go of a few matches, because as things stand right now, I don't think the Bangladesh Cricket Board is also going to take a step back. So you could have a situation anyway. It is a tournament being hosted by Sri Lanka and India jointly. So you'd have to last moment organize a few matches in Sri Lanka for Bangladesh to play. Economically, as I said, won't be much of a dent, whether it is the IPL. Also, you must remember, one, as I spoke about TV rights, which isn't a big contributor when you look at overseas, right? And Bangladesh rights would just be a fraction of that small amount I'm anyways talking about. But even if you look at it from a cricketing point of view, Bangladesh players traditionally haven't really formed the crux of IPL
Right.
teams. You barely had one or two players playing. So I don't think overall it's going to be a massive loss.